right. Good morning, guys. How are y'all?
Good morning, Pastor.
Good.
Yeah, we've got another square in our Zoom chat. We have a guest with us today, Lieutenant
I
Jim
love
Byrne.
special guests.
Yeah, Lieutenant Jim Byrne with the Charleston Police Department. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Pastor. How are you?
I'm great, great. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Yeah. So we're excited to have you on our show and to ask you a few questions. So let's get started. So our first question, this could be probably pretty broad, and but our first question is, what does a typical day look like for you as a Charleston police officer?
Some days I wonder. It's so I think a little bit of it has to do with my position. That dictates a lot of what we do and what my day looks like versus what some other police officers deal with. I'm the commander for our Central Business District Police Services. So my officers police the area where St. Matthews is, Marion Square, Upper King Street, Middle King Street, down through the market, and over on East Bay Street. So we cover a pretty busy area, and my day to day is really determined by kind of what's going on in that area. A lot of meetings, especially over the last year and a half, a lot of Zoom calls and Teams calls, lots of stuff that keeps me in front of this phone or in front of my computer screen, and typing up a lot of weekly reports and monthly reports and things like that. But I prefer to be out here on the street with my officers, and I try to do some daytimes and some night times. We might have shoplifters down the street. We might have calls about somebody who needs assistance, somebody who's homeless or who, might be having a mental health episode. We see a lot of calls like that. And then we have a lot of contacts. My favorite contacts are the ones that we have just walking down the street talking to people. We have, as everybody knows, this area is really the tourist and the shopping destination for the city. So I get to talk to people from all across the country, all across the world, and have a lot of interactions with them, with the business owners. People always accuse me of never being short of words. And so it's fun to have those interactions. Every once in a while, we'll go out on bicycles or just go out for a walk and see what's going on. But those are kind of typical days for us. And then, of course, we break those up with some training from here and there. It might be in-person training, like I'm doing tomorrow. I'll be in a classroom all day in a leadership class. Other times we go up to the firearms range and we'll be shooting up there, or we'll be working on all kinds of different things. So typical is almost a misnomer for policing.
Lieutenant, is your area in Marion Square and the Central Business District, is it one of the more, is it busier and more sort of difficult than others? Or do they all have their own challenges?
So that's true. Every area has their own challenges. Before I came down here in 2019, I spent the 4 years prior as the commander out in Daniel Island. So the Daniel Island and Cainhoy area. And we had challenges out there, but a lot of them involved traffic violations, traffic enforcement, things that you think of in more of a traditional policing standpoint, but it was still busy. Now at nighttime, it was definitely not as busy as you see in other places, but each part of the city has its own unique challenges. And that's kind of why we divide them up, so that we can see what's being done geographically, as well as trying to divide by the type of work that folks are doing. This Team 9 area, the Central Business District, is certainly one of the more active, and over the last year has become exponentially more so active. My night shift guys, they're just constantly hopping from one thing to another. There's been a lot of energy, I'll say, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, associated with some of the nightlife, especially as bars and restaurants started to reopen and people started coming down and partaking in eating and drinking and going out and having a night. It really changed the dynamic. And so my officers have been very busy with that. And so it's really what do we see in each area? You know, we don't have as many highway collisions because we don't have any highways. We don't have as many traffic collisions because there's not as much traffic, but we certainly have other issues that we address.
Kind of alluded to this, but what are some of the ways that in your work you get to help and serve people every day?
So I look at it as I have really two primary groups or entities that I serve. One is I serve the city, the people of the city, the residents, the guests, the tourists, all kinds of folks that come to the city, whether they're to live or work or visit. And then the other group that I serve are my officers. And, you know, I feel very, very obligated to giving them and providing them the best that we can, to, you know, making sure that their requests, their concerns are voiced within the department, within the city, trying to lobby for the resources and the things that they need. When it comes to the city and the people of the city, I think that there's a expectation that people have when they think of the police, and you know, we want to provide that and meet that expectation. People want to be able to go out and shop and work and eat and dine and all these things in peace. They don't want to have to worry about looking over their shoulders. So we do our very best to try to provide that atmosphere and that environment. Similarly, people who they park their car at night in the parking garage or on the street or in their driveway of their house, they leave for vacation for a week and they come back. They want to know that what they have and their property has been protected and that somebody is watching out for them. And we want to provide that. Right here in the Central Business District, as you guys well know, we, for 9 months out of the year, have a sizable college population. And I always try to think about the parents who send their kids, their sons and daughters who not more than 5 years ago, you know, were playing in their front yards and backyards, and they were just, you know, kids. They were just kids. And here they are, young men and women. And I try to think about the expectations that those parents have. And we try to provide that safe environment that they want their kids to go to. They want to be able to sleep at night knowing that somebody's looking out for their children. And we try to provide that in all kinds of ways. Sometimes it's prevention, sometimes it's enforcement, sometimes it's halfway in between. But we try to provide all of these different environments and meet all of these different expectations for the city and all the different people who make up the city. And we try to do so in a way that's fair and just, and that we can stand up in front of a mirror and say, I'm proud to be doing what I do. And the same thing is true with the people that I serve here in the department. I serve, you know, I serve the people who are above me. I answer their requests and such like that, but I really am serving my officers and trying to give them the safety that they require, letting their families know that when they send their husband or wife or son or daughter or brother or sister to work here in what is a dangerous job. I mean, not every job has a ballistic vest on and carries a belt full of tools that can harm people. We know that this is a dangerous job, so I do the best I can to provide them an environment where they feel like they can send their husband or wife or whoever to work and have them come back home. So those are the two things that I really look at as service in the job that I have.
What a difficult job you have. There's so many different people who look to you and your colleagues to keep everybody safe, and that's a hard job. Pastor, do we have any other questions?
One more. So this one, it is a kid's show, but this one is, what's one of the strangest things you've seen on the job?
I can't wait to hear how Lieutenant Byrne answers this one.
There are no details.
The boys and girls know.
We have to spare some details.
Okay,
I'll tell you that in 22 years, I've seen a lot of strange stuff.
I'm sure.
goodness. Would it be the guy who opened his front door and found an 11-foot alligator on his porch? Or perhaps the young lady who called us about a burglar in her basement, in her walkout basement in West Ashley, and we discovered that the dog had left the door open when the dog had pushed the door open, and 2 raccoons were trapped in her bathroom.
Oh no.
Let's see. We have the countless costumes, I'll say, that we've seen on people walking around at all times of year, but especially at Halloween and on New Year's. We've seen some wild costumes.
Yeah, we actually one time had a lock-in, and so our middle school and high school youth actually saw some of these costumes, and it was not our best moment with the kids. But it was an experience.
Avert your eyes. Avert your eyes.
We have let's see here. Hurricanes are always fun. When I find out that I was not meant to be a lumberjack and move trees. Oh goodness. I've driven ambulances, trucks. I've tried to drive a fire truck. None of this has gone well. I have walked when I was on the bomb squad. I was the bomb squad commander and a bomb technician for much of my career.
Oh, wow.
And walking through waist deep water off of Morris Island and Folly to go examine a suspicious package that turned out to be seashells. That's always interesting. I've been at the top of the Ravenel Bridge on both towers. I've been underneath the Ravenel Bridge, hanging from a ladder. There is no shortage of interesting days and crazy things that happen in this job.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So, Lieutenant Byrne, do you think boys and girls, is a police officer something boys and girls should want to be when they grow up?
So I think about that all the time, and I'll tell you the challenges and the stresses and the things that people face today getting into this profession are a lot different than they were 23 years ago when I was looking at this. And I'll be honest with you, the people that we have we're hiring and recruiting right now are far better and stronger than I ever was in terms of not only their physical readiness in terms of strength, but also their mental preparation. I think this is a noble profession. I think there is an absolute need for it. I think we need the very best people that we can get in this profession. This is an evolving profession. It is a thinking person's profession, and we need people who are in it for the right reasons, who want to be here for the very reasons that I started to articulate earlier, about service and about guardianship, and making sure that they're here for the purpose of making a real difference. If somebody wants to make a difference in the quality of their community, there's very few places and very few professions that will do a better job of that than this. And it can be for the better or for the worse. And that's why I'm so protective of who we bring into this. I want the very best. We've had challenges over the last many years, but especially it's come to light over the last couple where policing has been under a microscope, and probably rightfully so. We need people who can come in here and have the right reasons, have the right motivations, as Chief Reynolds likes to say, that can hear the calling. It's not all that different than what you and Pastor Rebecca probably heard some time ago, calling you to a vocation. That's really kind of where I see this is a servant leader position. It is never about me first or about the It should never be about the police officer first. We're here for the service of others, and that's where I would recommend people looking to come into this. Young men, young ladies, even people who are looking for career changes. We have a gentleman right now who is, I want to say he's late 40s, perhaps early 50s, who's just joined the police department, and it's because he realizes that this is a place where he can make that difference. So I certainly do recommend it, but I recommend it only to those who really contemplate what they're getting into and what they want to get out of this and how this will benefit, who it will benefit, and making sure they're doing it for those right reasons.
Absolutely.
Lieutenant Byrne, we thank you so much, and we thank your colleagues all across our country who do so much for us, for our citizens to keep us safe. Thank you so much.
We're happy to do it. I just apologize that we don't sing better when we're doing Wham on the road. So,
so that's a great segue. So boys and girls, on June 30th, we will have a special Wham worship service with Lieutenant Byrne, Chief Reynolds, and a few others who are with us. And it's going to be a really wonderful service. And we hope that you'll tune in for that. We're in our series of Whams, we're spotlighting some heroes in our community, like the police department and firefighters and healthcare workers. And you'll see those over the summer. So thank you for being part of this today, Lieutenant.
Happy to do so.
Where should they send their questions, Pastor Rebecca?
Questions should go to Daniel at youth@smlccharleston.org, and we will catch y'all next week.
Thanks, Lieutenant Byrne. Y'all take care.
Have a great day.